Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Should we start?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So last class we had a few presentations on OSI reference model and TCP/IP reference model. Both the teams have done really well. I liked the presentation, and I'm sure you are going to improve upon your presentation skills in future also. Okay. So before that, we were learning about SONET. I had told you SONET is a standard. It stands for Synchronous Optical Network, isn't it? And the SONET standard that we have has got, it is generally used for optical networks. That is the networks that make use of optical fibers or a fiber optic cable and transmit the data in the form of light. In such networks, this standard is used. So SONET defines certain signals which are called as STS signals, and SONET also defines certain standard devices which are used in the optical network. And these devices are terminals, that is end devices, STS multiplexers, that is multiplexers which multiplex or combine the STS signals, ADM, that is add drop multiplexers, regenerators which will amplify the signals, and STS demultiplexers. We had seen this diagram in the last class. We also know that the connection between any two adjacent devices is called as a section. The connection between two multiplexers is called as a line, and the connection between two end devices is called as a path. Okay, so we had learned this diagram, and we know now what are the standard SONET devices. What we are going to do is we are going to continue this and understand that in just like OSI reference model has defined its own layer, own set of layers, that is 7 layers are there in OSI reference model, or TCP/IP reference model has got 4 layers. Like that, SONET standard also has defined 4 layers. Now, what are these 4 layers? Path layer, line layer, section layer, and photonic layer. The names of these layers are given based on the connections that are there in SONET. I told you, between any two adjacent devices, we call it as a section. Between two multiplexers, it is known as a line. And between end devices, it is called as a path. So you can now understand that these layers have been named depending on what functions they are performing. If path layer functions, if the end-to-end functions are happening, they are done by path layer. If function between two multiplexers is occurring, then it is done by the line layer. Any two adjacent devices from one device to another, if data is being sent, then that is being done by the section layer. And when the data is being transmitted over the network in the form of light, the physical configuration and physical transmission of bits in the form of light is this function is performed by the photonic layer. So I want you all to have a look at this previous diagram once again. Okay, where we are able to see the section, line, and path. Okay, and accordingly these layers. So understand that there are 4 layers in Sonnet. The bottommost layer that we have, photonic layer, that is same as physical layer in OSI reference model. Whatever are the functions of physical layer in OSI model, same are the functions of photonic layer in Sonnet standard. Why the name photonic? Because we are transmitting the data in the form of light. Light means photons. Okay, you have learned this in physics. Okay, so since we are transmitting the data in the form of light, that means presence of data will indicate a binary 1, and absence of data during a particular bit interval will indicate a binary 0. So how to transmit the bits? How long should the bits be there? What should be the bit interval? How long they should be there on the communication channel? Or physical transmission of bits, modulation, or maybe conversion from electrical to light form, because when your data gets generated, it is in the form of 0 and 1. From on a computer, when it gets generated, it is in electrical form. So your bits, your voltage levels have to be converted in the form of light. So such functions, that is transmission of bits, converting the voltages into light, that is in the form of presence or absence of light, actual transmission of bits in the form of light, regeneration of signals, or implementing the STS signals, these functions are performed by the photonic layer. So above the photonic layer, we have the section layer. Now go back to the diagram and see. A section is the connection between any two adjacent devices. So when data goes from one device to the very next device, the link or the connection between those two adjacent devices is called as a data link. So from one device to another, very next device when it is moving, what comes into picture is the data link layer. So section layer will perform the functions of data link layer. In OSI reference model, we have data link layer. Instead of that, here we have the section layer. Same functions, whatever are the data link layer functions, like framing, error detection, error correction, flow control. That is from one device to another, when the data is moving, a fast sender can overrun the slow receiver. So controlling the flow of data between sender and the receiver, that is between two adjacent machines. Or when we are transmitting the data, bits get changed. 1 becomes 0, 0 becomes 1. So the errors will occur. To avoid those errors, retransmission of data has to happen. All such functions are done by the section layer. Then you have the line, and then you have the path. They are more or less similar to transport and application layer. Path layer is going to decide the transmission between end devices. End devices means applications will work there. So the functions of transport and application layer are implemented in line and path. Maybe a few functions here and there, but most of the functions that you find in TCP IP reference model or OSI reference model, same are implemented in Sonnet. Only thing, we are talking about a standard which allows the transmission of data in the form of light. So these 4 layers will ensure that the data moves smoothly between the end devices. Okay, so you all can have a look at this diagram now. Imagine you have to look at the diagram and understand what is shown at the ends are the 4 layers: path layer, line layer, section layer, and photonic layer. So imagine we have a source. I will try to show you with the help of annotation. Okay, so imagine this is the source and this is the destination. So when a source could be a computer, when the computer generates the data, it will be an electrical signal. On our computer, it will be in the form of a electrical signal. So that electrical signal is taken up by the path layer. Maybe some overhead, some header information is added to it. Then it is sent to the line layer, then to the section layer. The functions of section layer are, addressing, IP address could be there, or a MAC address could be there, that identifies the machine. To append that address is done by the section layer. Then after the frame is ready, framing is done, data comes down to the photonic layer. The whole data gets converted from electrical signal into the optical signal, and now the optical signal will move and go to the next device. For example, the next device is a regenerator. So in the regenerator, only bottom two layer functions are happening. That is photonic layer and section layer. The upper layer functions are missing. So after that, the data might go to ADM, that is add drop multiplexer. Here, photonic layer, section layer, and line layer functions will take place. After that, it might go to some other regenerator, and finally, as an optical signal, it will reach the destination. Once it reaches the destination, uh, the light signals are converted back into electrical signals with the help of photonic layer. The errors are checked if there are any errors in the data. Then it is sent to the line layer. It will ensure smooth communication, and then the path layer. In that layer, the applications will be present. They will accept the data that has been sent by the sender. So you all can see, just like the OSI reference model, data moves downwards from the higher layers to the bottommost layer. Through the intermediate machines which form the subnet, the data goes to the destination, and then it moves upwards from the photonic layer to the path layer. Okay. So these are the functions that we have. These are the functions that we have of the 4 SONET layers. Now, SONET is a standard. That means it will allow the transmission of data in a particular form. It has imposed certain framing format, which is called as the SONET frame format. We all know what is a frame. A frame is a group of bits or a group of bytes, which is logically put together to form a block. So you all can see the SONET frame format is a little different from other frame formats which we have learned in the past. The SONET frame format is made up of 90 bytes, 9 rows of 90 bytes. It's like in the form of a matrix or in the form of an array. So can you all see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There are 9 columns. That means each column will have 1 byte. That means there are going to be 90 bytes. And such 9 rows will be there. Can you all see? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a square matrix sort of. There are going to be 9 columns and there are going to be 9 rows. So there are going to be 90 bytes. So out of 90 bytes, the first 3 bytes, that is the first 3 columns and the first 3 rows. Can you see this yellow part? I have purposely put it in a different color. Can you see this yellow part? The first 3 columns and the first 3 rows. This is called as the section overhead. Section overhead is a field in which when the data moves from one section to another through the network, this particular section overhead will be overwritten with new information which will provide information about how data is moving through the section. So maybe for error detection, for smooth communication, this overhead is going to be required. Then the remaining 6 6 rows that are there, first 3 columns you have to see. In that, the first 3 rows, first 3 columns, first 3 rows, the yellow part is indicating the section overhead. The remaining 6 rows, first 3 columns only, but remaining 6 rows, which is shown in red color here, indicates the line overhead. Line overhead is nothing but a field of the SONET frame format, which includes information when the data moves from one section to another. So as it moves from one machine to another, adjacent machine, when the data is moving, the data, this particular information is going to be very useful. This information will be overwritten at every section when the data moves through the Sonnet devices. Then after the first 3 columns and the 9 rows, you can see the fourth column, which is shown in green color. This whole fourth column is called as the path overhead. So when the data moves from one device, the source device, to the destination device, end to end, whatever is the information required, that information is going to be stored in this part, which is called as the path overhead. And then comes the remaining part, which is shown in blue and gray color, the remaining bytes that are in this array that are there. That is called as synchronous payload envelope, SPE. And that contains the actual data which you want to move from the source to the destination. So blue color part, whether it is light blue or dark blue or whatever, all blue shades that are there, the remaining 87 bytes. 87 bytes, 1 byte, the whole column will be taken up by path overhead. So 86 actually. The remaining part of that Sonnet frame format is called as synchronous payload envelope, and it contains your actual information. So you need to understand the frame format, because sometimes in the exam, they ask you to describe the Sonnet frame format. What all will you tell about Sonnet frame format? Some 4 or 5 important points. The Sonnet standard defines its own format for storing the data, which is called a Sonnet frame format. The Sonnet frame format is a rectangular array consisting of 9 rows and 9 columns. Each column indicates 1 byte. So total 90 bytes, like that 9 rows are there. Okay. So the whole of the Sonnet frame is now divided into different overheads. Overheads are nothing but fields which contain the information. So if we are looking at the Sonnet frame format, the first 3 columns and the first 3 rows, that part indicates a field which is called as section overhead. Then the remaining 6 rows and the first 3 columns, which is shown in red, is called as the line overhead. Next to that, the whole column that we have, which is shown in green, is called as the path overhead. So as the data moves from one section to another, from one line to another, or from the source to the destination, the overhead part, that is the fields which contain information as the data moves through the devices, this information will be read, processed, and overwritten so that data can smoothly move through the network. The remaining 86 bytes, 87 bytes that are there, the whole thing, that is path overhead plus the 86 bytes, together is called a synchronous payload envelope. But out of that, the remaining 86 bytes and the 9 rows that are there, that contain the actual data which you want to move from the source to the destination. All right. So I have told you a lot of things about Sonnet. I have told you what is Sonnet, who developed it, and how it is useful. We have discussed STS, that is synchronous transport signal. We have discussed Sonnet devices, and I have told you the different layers of Sonnet, how data moves through these layers. And lastly, I have told you about the Sonnet frame format. Okay. I want you all to ask me, tell me if you have understood this and if you have any doubts in Sonnet. All right. As we discuss, all of you can enter your attendance in the chat box. Do you have any doubts in Sonnet? Should we continue? If anybody has any doubts, raise your hands and ask me. Okay, should we continue? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
The next thing that we have in Sonnet is called as satellite networks. Okay. Not in Sonnet, in data communication. The next part that we have to learn is satellite networks. Now, right from schools, you people have been quite curious and you people know a lot of things about what are satellites and how they are useful in networking. Uh, a satellite generally provides, or it is a useful way of allowing two people to communicate from one point to another. The satellite that is present in the outer atmosphere, or the Earth's atmosphere, it is going to act like a switch which will take the data over an incoming link or an uplink and forward it to some other point on the Earth that is called as downlink. So if you have, I mean, you're trying to communicate from one end of the world to some other end of the world, and there's a huge gap or maybe a huge distance between the sender and the receiver, then directly you can't send, even if you decide to send via, say, radio waves or microwaves, even if you decide to use any other wireless medium, such a long distance cannot be covered. So you should be first sending it to the satellite, which is up there in the air, and then from there on to the destination. So we will try to understand about satellites and satellite networks today. A satellite network is a combination of nodes that provides communication from one point to another. Okay. So generally, for the purpose of communication, lots of satellites are launched, which are, you know, all the time going around the Earth in the orbit. They orbit the Earth, and they provide a means of switching the data. They are in the Earth's orbit, they are present in the Earth's orbit, and they will work as switches. Okay. So how do satellite network work? Satellite networks work similar to cellular networks. What satellite networks do is they divide the whole of the Earth or the whole of the planet into smaller geographical units, which are called as cells. So there could be many, many satellites which are revolving the all around the, which are orbiting the Earth all the time, and they will ensure that the data that we are trying to send from one end of the Earth to some other end of the Earth, they can take it and forward it. This particular diagram is showing you different satellite orbits. We know that satellites will, you know, go around the Earth, they will orbit the Earth. So there can be different orbits, like equatorial orbit can be there if at all the you know, the satellite is orbiting around the equator. It can be an inclined orbit like this, or it can be a polar orbit. Polar orbit means from north pole to the south pole, like this. In this manner, if the satellite is revolving, it is called as the polar orbit. So satellites will orbit the Earth, and they cover a very large distance. Since all the time they are orbiting the Earth, it is possible through satellites to, you know, monitor the Earth system or monitor the communication system and communicate to people who are located very far away. Okay. So when we talk about satellite networks, there is one important term which we come across, and that is called as a footprint. Generally, when we are talking about satellite networks, we come across this term which is called as a footprint. Now, what is a footprint? Satellites that move around the Earth, they make use of microwaves. That is, it's a wireless medium for the purpose of transmission of data. So satellites process microwaves with bidirectional antenna. Bidirectional antenna in the sense you have an antenna which will transmit as well as receive in both the directions, that is transmission and receiving is happening. So it is called as a bidirectional antenna. Am I audible? Am I
Yes,
audible?
ma'am.
Okay. So that is called as a bidirectional data. Now, when you have a sender and a receiver who are communicating via satellite, or if you have a source which is trying to transmit the data to a satellite which is orbiting to the Earth, then the antenna and the satellite should be in the line of direction. They should be in the same line of direction. I hope you're understanding. Imagine this is the Earth, and imagine there's a satellite here. So if at all I want to transmit from the Earth to this satellite, they should be in the same line of sight. I hope you're understanding what is meant by line of sight. That is the transmitter and the responder, the receiver. They should be in the same line of sight. That is your source and the satellite. If they are in the line of sight, then transmission is possible. So satellite is normally aimed at specific area. What I was telling about footprint, no? When satellite revolves around the Earth, suppose it is at this point, the satellite is here, it is at this point. It is trying to focus on one part of the Earth. For example, if the satellite is here, it is focusing on this area of the Earth. So this area that it covers by staying at this point, suppose it is here. Okay, suppose the satellite has come here. It is, able to focus on this area. Or suppose the satellite has come here. It is able to focus on this area. I hope you're understanding. Wherever the satellite is, if it is orbiting like this, if it is here, we are able to focus on this area of the Earth. That area on which, it is aiming at the Earth, that is called as a footprint. So when that satellite is above the Earth, that much area that it covers, in that much area, in the footprint, the signal power is maximum. So if at all the satellite is here, at this area that surrounds the Earth, here the signal power is going to be maximum, not this side or not this side. Wherever it is focusing, there the signal power is going to be maximum, and that much area we call it as a footprint. Now, generally, satellites are of three types: geosynchronous Earth orbit satellites, that is GEO. Second one is MEO, medium Earth orbit satellites, and LEO, low Earth orbit satellites. So, all these three, little bit we are going to learn. In short, we are going to learn what they are. But at least for your knowledge, you should know that there are three types of satellites. One is called as GEO, geosynchronous Earth orbit satellite; MEO, medium Earth orbit satellite; and the last one, LEO, that is low Earth orbit satellite. Okay, now what are these GEO, MEO, and LEO? Depending on where they are placed in the Earth's orbit, or how far they are placed, what's the distance between Earth and the satellite, that will decide whether it's a GEO, whether it's a MEO, or whether it's a LEO. So look at this diagram. Imagine this is the Earth's orbit, which is shown as dotted area here. So Earth's surface you all can see in the diagram. The LEOs are, you also have to understand what is Van Allen belt. Van Allen belt is a part of the atmosphere, part of the Earth's atmosphere, beyond which, the gravitational force is not going to work. So beyond that, they will simply orbit the Earth. They'll not be attracted towards the Earth, down towards the Earth. So when your satellite passes or goes beyond the Van Allen belt, at that time it starts orbiting the Earth. Okay, so there is a lower Van Allen belt, there's an upper Van Allen belt. So if you have a LEO, generally it is placed somewhere between 0 to 5,000 kilometers in that altitude, 5,000 kilometers above the Earth, 0 to 5,000 kilometers above the Earth. In that altitude, in that range, those satellites are moving, and they are called as low Earth orbit satellites. And there are satellites which go beyond that, that is between the altitude or the height above the Earth is between 5 to 15,000, somewhere in that, or maybe up to 18,000. If your satellites are revolving, orbiting the Earth in that range, then they are called as medium Earth orbit satellite. But if you have certain satellites which go beyond 15,000, or in fact above 35,786 kilometers, then those satellites are called as GEO, that is geosynchronous Earth orbit satellites. So depending on where your satellite is orbiting, if your satellite is quite close to the Earth, between 0 to 5,000 kilometers, somewhere there it is placed, then it is called as a LEO. Beyond 5,000 to 15,000 kilometers, if in that range the satellite is placed, it is called as a MEO. And beyond 35,000 or 36,000 kilometers approximately, if your satellite is placed, then that is called as a GEO satellite. Okay, so what are GEOs? Satellites which move at a constant or the same speed around the Earth, and they are present at around 36,000 kilometers above the Earth. They are called as GEOs. Generally, they are since they are moving at constant speed, they will not be able to cover the whole of Earth at a time. So minimum 3 geo satellites will be required to cover the whole of the Earth at the same time. So if we have 3 geo satellites which are placed in the orbit, which will go around the Earth, then they will be able to cover the whole of the Earth. Okay. Then we have MEOs. As I said, they are placed in the orbit at the altitude of 5,000 to 15,000 kilometers. To cover, I mean, to rotate around or revolve around the Earth, they require about 6 to 8 kilometers. And the GPS that we have, the GPS system that we use in our mobile phone, they are all based on MEO satellite system. Okay. So generally that GPS that works for our mobile phone, those the satellites will keep on giving us the, you know, the latitude, longitude, and where we are. You people must have used Google Maps. It is based on global positioning system, GPS. So for that, the satellites will respond to us, and those satellites are orbiting the Earth at about 18,000 kilometers above the Earth. Okay. So the GPS system that we have, it has got 24. It's a what we call constellation. Constellation in the sense a group of satellites. So we have about 24 satellites which are used above the Earth, and they are used for land, sea, and air navigation. That is when we want. Google Maps is nothing but it will allow you to navigate. It will show you the direction. It will try to show you how much time is required to go from a particular place to some other place. So for land navigation, navigation means it will show you the map or it will show you the direction, or sea navigation, or even in air navigation. This GPS system is very, very useful communication system, which for the GPS to work correctly, there are about 24 satellites which orbit the Earth, and they will all the time keep on updating us regarding where we are placed, how close we are to the destination, when are we going to reach the destination, or how much time is required. This is done with the help of a constellation of 24 satellites. Then we have LEOs, which are generally placed quite closer to the Earth, somewhere between 500 to 2000 kilometers. Rotation speed is 90 to 120 minutes. In the sense, in 1.5 hour, they are able to rotate the whole around, they are able to revolve around the Earth. Okay. LEO system is made up of constellation of satellites, that is a group of satellites. They work as a switch, as I was telling you. I will try to have a look at this diagram, LEO satellite system. Imagine there is a satellite which is already which is revolving the Earth, which is already launched and it is placed in the orbit. Now suppose this is your satellite. Suppose this is your, okay, this is your satellite. Suppose you have a mobile phone here, and suppose this is the the other end. This is the source and this is the destination. Okay, this other end is somewhere far away. Okay, so you want to send your signal from your mobile, that is from your source, to this other end, which is the destination. So since this distance is very large, from your phone the signal is first sent to the satellite. Satellite will act as a switch. What does a switch do? It takes the signal or the data over incoming line and forward it over outgoing line. So the mobile will first send the data or the signal to the satellite, and satellite in turn will send it to the other end. So can you see, once the satellite is up there in the air, it is covering a very large geographical area. So it is very easy to make the satellite work like a switch. It will take the data and forward it over to some other outgoing line or to some other destination. That is how satellites are very useful in communication, and generally they are used for long distance communication and in mobile communication. So generally LEOs are again categorized into 3 types, that is little LEO, big LEO, and broadband LEO, which is the discussion of LEOs here is beyond the scope of our discussion. So I want you all to Google a little and find out about these, but at least you must know that LEOs are of there could be different LEOs like little LEO, big LEO, and broadband LEO. They will generally allow you for communication. I don't know if you people have heard of Iridium. Iridium is a constellation of a number of satellites, and the Iridium system is very commonly used for GPS, for mobile communication. These satellites are very, very useful for mobile communication. Okay, so you can find out about Iridium, you can find out about LEOs, GEOs, and MEOs. But what you need to understand is that all these satellites which are orbiting the Earth, which are in the orbit, which are revolving the Earth, around the Earth, they are capable of taking the signals over incoming line and forwarding them over outgoing line. Okay. All right. So I have told you about satellites. All right. I have told you about 3 types. Huh? And what is a GEO, we know. What is a MEO and what is a LEO. All right. So if you have any doubts in this, you can ask me. All of you have entered your attendance? All of you have entered your attendance?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we will continue in the next class. Okay. Should we stop? All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.